Look, Boaz, this is my father, this is my mother, and the baby here is me, with my sister and big brother.
Where were these photos taken, Grandma Yona?
They were taken in Italy, where I was born, before the war.
Which war?
The Second World War, in which many countries from all over the world were involved. And here is my sister and me, just before the war. And here I am again. I grew up in Italy, in a city where both Jews and non-Jews lived together. In my family, there was my mother, Helena, my father, Yochanan, and my older brother and sister.
What was your childhood like, Grandma Yona?
I had a very happy childhood. We were an Italian family, like everyone else. But we also kept Jewish customs. We went to synagogue, but also to the seaside. And we celebrated all the Jewish festivals. And look, here is the special wine cup that we even used then to drink from on the holiday of Passover.
Grandma, we still use that cup.
That's right. We use it every year on Passover at Grandma Yael's.
Grandma Yona, was it dangerous for you and your family during the war?
Yes, we were in great danger, like many Jews in Europe during that time. But we were very lucky, and we were saved. Hello, my name is Yona Amit, and I am a Holocaust survivor. The Holocaust happened during the Second World War many years ago. In Italy, as in Germany and many other places in Europe, Jewish people were persecuted and had most of their rights taken away. Jews were not allowed to go to school, enter shops, or visit parks. We were even forbidden to play with friends who were not Jewish. We lost our freedom. During the war, Nazi German soldiers left Germany to conquer many other countries. One of those countries was Italy, where I was born and raised. The Germans hated the Jews especially and wanted to harm us. They wanted to find every Jew, and they made life very difficult for us. My father understood that we were in danger and that we had to run away and find a hiding place. He hired a horse and cart and loaded it up with 9 members of our immediate family. My father, my mother, myself, my sister, my brother, my grandmother, and my aunt, plus 2 of her children, my cousins. We were given the address of a good family who was willing to hide us, and we rode to them. We had never met this family, and they didn't know us either, but they were prepared to help us and invited us into their home, where they showed us to the attic of their house. I don't remember much about being in that attic because I was just a little girl, but I do remember that what was most important was that we were together. I also remember that we were forbidden to leave the attic and that I was hungry because there wasn't much food. We lived in constant fear that the Germans would discover our hiding place. Because of this, the wonderful people who were hiding us decided to move us to a different place, where some other good people took us into their home. But sometime later, it was decided that the safest place to hide the children would be in a monastery, for just us to be hidden there. So we children were moved to a monastery without our parents. A monastery is a place where certain religious Christians, called monks and nuns, live. This monastery was also a boarding school, where the students learned and also lived during the week. And on weekends, on Sundays, which was their Sabbath, the students would go home to their parents. Nobody was allowed to know that we were Jewish, because German children learned there too. Only the Mother Superior knew that we were Jewish, but no one else. Life in the monastery was better than in the hideout. Despite the bombings, and even though it was cold and dark, and there was very little food, which didn't taste very good at all. But they didn't know that we were Jewish, so nobody harmed us. And we were like everybody else. My father, who didn't know when he would see us again, wanted us to always remember that we were Jewish, and told us that every night, before we go to bed, we should recite the Shema Yisrael prayer. I remember getting into bed in this huge hall with rows and rows of beds, where a nun at the end, behind a curtain, watched over us. And we had to go down on our knees next to our beds and recite the evening Christian prayers. After that, I would get into my bed, cover my head with the blanket, and I would say, Shema Yisrael, Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. Exactly as Daddy taught me. At that time, because of the danger for Jews in Italy, Italian Jews started to be smuggled into Switzerland because it was safe there. The only possible way to enter Switzerland, though, was through the Alps, a huge mountain range that is covered with snow throughout the year. It wasn't possible to pass through there by car or by train, because the Germans guarded the border and would have caught us since we were Jews. The only way to reach Switzerland, therefore, was on foot, at night, with the help of people called smugglers, who were familiar with the way. We were taken from the monastery and were reunited with our father and our mother, grandmother and aunt, and then we were on our way. On a dark and cold and rainy night, we set out and started walking along the paths. I cried the whole journey because I was afraid and I couldn't see anything. It was dark and muddy, but I held my mother's hand and she comforted me the whole way, reassuring me that we would get there soon. I remember that along the way there was a clearing, and the smugglers had to pass each of us through one at a time. My mother went first, so the smuggler took her first. I was second. The smuggler passed me to my mother, and when I reached her, she cried and hugged me and said, "Taubale, you're here." And there I was, back in my mother's arms, and all was good. We continued walking and arrived at the top of the mountain. The smuggler told us that he had to leave us, as the sun was about to rise, and we could go down the mountain alone. And so we went down the mountain, and we arrived in Switzerland safely. Things weren't easy in Switzerland either, but at least we weren't being hunted, and we remained there until the end of the war. In Switzerland, my mother gave birth to my little brother. At the end of the war, we returned to Italy, and from there, we made our way to the land of Israel. There I went to school, grew up, and became a teacher. I have been a teacher for over 60 years and have taught thousands of students. I also have 4 children and many grandchildren. I even have great-grandchildren, one of whom is sitting right here beside me.
Grandma, that's so lucky that you were saved.
It was luck, but it was mostly due to the families who hid us and saved us. These people were awarded the honor of righteous among the nations, which is granted to non-Jewish people who saved Jews during the war, even though it was very, very dangerous, because the Germans would have punished anyone who helped Jewish people. It is because of those people that we are here today, my whole family and also you. We live because of them.